Well, good morning, everyone. It's Tech for Senior. I'm Ron Brown. I'll be your host today. It is the 8th of April, the day, of course, of the total eclipse. So I was talking to Hewie yesterday, and I said to Hewie, you know what we should do is we should start the show with all our screens off, and then we could say we're doing the show in an eclipse. And then we thought, well, I don't think so, because everyone's going to reboot and turn their machines off, and everyone's going to get confused. And Huey vetoed it. So there you go. Otherwise, we were going to start the show in the dark. Now, some of you would probably say it's always in the dark. But anyway, welcome, everyone. This is Tech for Senior. We're going to have some fun today over the next hour. And for those of you who are new here, we also have a Thursday show, which is on Thursday, and it's all about news of the week. And come and watch our show on Thursday if you. It's a great show. We really have a lot of fun. We also have a newsletter. Comes out twice a week. Comes out on Tuesdays and Fridays, and it is sponsored by the Glendora Seniors Computer Club. A very great group of people called the Geeks on Tour, and they have this amazing website, and they do these great shows every Sunday, my favorite. So they are also a sponsor, and of course the Central Florida Computer Society. Huey, do you know anything about them?
I sure do. I'm a lifetime member, and I've been a member since 1970 or 87.
1987.
Yeah.
There you go. So anyway, those are the sponsors of our newsletter that comes out twice a week. Now, it's so important that you get that newsletter because we tell you what's happening. And we have a big event coming up, happening not next week, but the week after on the 22nd. And some of you, we had a very popular question that was asked, and should you have a landline or home phone? And so we're going to actually devote the whole program to that question. All our panel today, all our staff are going to spend about 5 minutes answering some questions. And I'm going to put the agenda in the newsletter tomorrow. You can have a look and see what we're going to talk about. And if you have any questions, please get them to me. We're going to do a survey. The show will start the same format. We'll start with Bob's section, and then we'll finish with Ray's. But in between, there'll be small 5-minute segments on all the different aspects of home phone. Should you have one? Shouldn't you have one? So on and so forth. So I thought it was a really good topic. You might find it interesting. So watch for the newsletter tomorrow, because I'm going to put the whole agenda in there. But we can always change it if we get a lot of people wanting to talk about something different in that area. I'm going to do a survey at the end of the show and see if you like the format. I've had a lot of people say that's a great idea. We should pick some topics and maybe spend a little more time on them. So we'll see if that's popular and you like that idea. We can certainly do more of that. And that will be not next Monday, but the Monday after on the 22nd. We also have today our premiere video that will be broadcast at about 1/2 past. Bob is going to talk on adding videos to Google Slides. I'm going to talk about fast pairing, which is back in the news a lot lately with Android, with the Android updates. So, and then Mike's going to talk on level 3 EV charging. Somewhat dated, but still a good video, and I think it's worth watching again. So those will be our 3 selections that are occurring on our premiere service, which is at 1/2 past. Let's have a look. Huey, how are you making out? What's going on in your life down in the Florida?
I'm still struggling with my main computer. I'm on a laptop right now that was given to me. It's an older one, but it's doing a better job than my big machine. So I'm not struggling with lockups and so on. I have the WinSig coming up on Sunday, and I'm doing a couple of presentations out in Arizona at one of the groups out there, and then I'm also doing one for JJ's group this month. I've got a busy month coming up, doing quite a few presentations.
There you go. There you go, Bob. And your packages are blowing all over the place. You were telling me about your Amazon package that ended up in the neighbor's yard.
Well, not quite the neighbor's yard because I have a fence between me and the neighbor. But they placed it on my porch, and by the time I got the message that it was delivered, and when I went out to pick it up, the wind was blowing so hard on Saturday that it was up against the fence. I had to go rescue it, and it happened to have been my TurboTax package that arrived. Would you believe it? It's on a CD. I had to install it on my system off a CD. Haven't done that in years.
Off of what?
Yes.
What's CD stand for?
I don't remember. Can't.
All right. And then Ray, what's going on in Pine, Arizona? You got rid of all those tourists and Canadians out of Mesa, and everyone's gone home, haven't they?
You know, I was down in the valley on Saturday for my monthly group that meets, and we actually have sophisticated now where we show videos in a private room at a Denny's restaurant. So we've all music related, of course. So I was down in the valley on Saturday, back and forth. For me, it's a 4-hour round trip drive, but I don't mind it. I got good music in the car, and away we went.
Do you listen to Ray's playlist?
On occasion. And you know what? I've heard them all before.
And Chris, you're watching the eclipse. You don't have your glasses on.
Yeah, well, this was from 2017 when we did the eclipse. We were in South Carolina, and this is a shot that I took.
Oh, and you took that right into the sun. Oh, cool. Did you guys do a
with
video on how to take pictures of the eclipse? Did you do? I thought you did one a long time ago.
I don't think so.
Did you do that?
that
That would be a good topic.
All we did is put the filter over the lens. Yeah.
Right. Ah,
And
cool.
as Jim said yesterday, though, you know, you're not going to win any awards on a solar eclipse photo from your phone. You need professional level equipment, but to have a memory that we were there, snap away.
It was cool.
Good. All right, let's get rolling. Bob, I don't think Bill's not here. I don't see Bill. I didn't miss anybody.
Oh.
Okay, Bob, let's get going and let's get the show moving.
Here is my security news roundup for the week ending April 5th, 2024. Urgent secret backdoor found in ℏ𝕠𝕠𝕟 library, impacting major Linux distros. Red Hat on Friday released an urgent security alert, warning that 2 versions of a popular data compression library called ℏ𝕠𝕠𝕟, previously ℏ𝕬𝕝-utils, have been backdoored with malicious code designed to allow unauthorized remote access. Specifically, the nefarious code baked into the code is designed to interfere with the SSHD daemon process for SSH via the system software suite, and potentially enable a threat actor to break SSHD authentication and gain unauthorized access to the system remotely under the right circumstances. Out of an abundance of caution, Fedora Linux 40 users have been recommended to downgrade to a 5.4 build. Read more at thehackernews.com. U.S. Congress restricts staff from using Microsoft's Copilot. Here's why. The U.S. House of Representatives has prohibited its staff members from using Microsoft's AI-driven chatbot, Copilot, according to a report by Axios. The ban was announced by the House's Chief Administrative Officer, Catherine Spindor, who declared that Microsoft Copilot is unauthorized for House use. The Office of Cybersecurity has identified the application as a risk to users due to the threat of leaking House data to non-House approved cloud services. Read more at newsbitesapp.com. AT&T confirms data of 73 million customers leaked on dark web. Investigation ongoing. On Saturday, AT&T confirmed that customer data of 73 million users has been leaked online. The compromised personal information includes Social Security numbers, AT&T account numbers and passcodes, and contact details of existing and previous customers. AT&T has launched a robust investigation supported by internal and external cybersecurity experts. Based on our preliminary analysis, the data set appears to be from 2019 or earlier, impacting approximately 7.6 million current AT&T account holders and approximately 65.4 million former account holders, the network said in a statement over the weekend. Read more at androidauthority.com. YouTube ordered to reveal the identities of video viewers. Federal U.S. authorities have asked Google for the names, addresses, telephone numbers, and user activity of accounts that watched certain YouTube videos, according to unsealed court documents Forbes has seen. Of those users that weren't logged in when they watched those videos between January 1st and 8th, 2023, the authorities asked for the IP addresses. The starting point of one of the investigations is an entity that uses the handle Elon Musk WHM and is suspected of money laundering by selling Bitcoin for cash. As part of the investigation, agents sent the suspected links to tutorials on YouTube about mapping via drones and augmented reality software. Then they asked YouTube to send them data about the people that watched that video. 1984, 40 years later, maybe. Read more at malwarebytes.com. Disturbing robocaller fined $9.9 million. A federal court in Montana has fined a man $9.9 million after he was found responsible for causing thousands of unlawful and malicious spoofed robocalls. Sometimes there is good news. Well, for almost everybody except for the robocaller who was found guilty of unlawful robocalls to people in states including Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Iowa, and Virginia in 2018. The court also imposed an injunction prohibiting any further violations of the Truth in Caller ID Act and Telephone Consumer Protection Act. Scott Rhodes spoofed his telephone number so it appeared to the targets that he was calling from a local phone number. If they picked up, they were presented with recorded messages. Read more at malwarebytes.com. Google to delete billions of browsing records in incognito mode privacy lawsuit settlement. Google has agreed to purge billions of data records reflecting users' browsing activities to settle a class action lawsuit that claimed the search giant tracked them without their knowledge or consent in its Chrome browser. The class action, filed in 2020, alleged the company misled users by tracking their internet browsing activity who thought that it remained private when using the incognito or private mode on web browsers like Chrome. As part of the data remediation process, Google is also required to delete information that makes private browsing data identifiable by redacting data points like IP addresses, generalizing user agent strings, and remove detailed URLs associated with visited websites. Read more at thehackernews.com. U.S. Cyber Safety Board slams Microsoft over breach by China-based hackers. The findings, released by the Department of Homeland Security on Tuesday, found that the intrusion was preventable and that it became successful due to a cascade of Microsoft's avoidable errors. It identified a series of Microsoft operational and strategic decisions that collectively pointed to a corporate culture that deprioritized enterprise security investments and rigorous risk management, at odds with the company's centrality in technology ecosystem and the level of trust customers place in the company to protect their data and operations, the DHS said in a statement. Read more at thehackernews.com. Missouri County declares state of emergency amid suspected ransomware attack. Jackson County has identified significant disruptions within its IT systems, potentially attributable to a ransomware attack, officials wrote Tuesday. Early indications suggest operational inconsistencies across its digital infrastructure, and certain systems have been rendered inoperative while others continue to function as normal. The systems confirmed inoperable include tax and online property payments, issuance of marriage license, and inmate searches. In response, the assessment, collection, and recorder of deeds offices at the county locations are closed until further notice. Read more at ℝ𝕠𝕟.com. This week's must-see on my YouTube channel. Stay hungry, keep grinding, and your golden years will truly be paved with limitless potential. It's up to you to make them golden. Don't spend these precious years slowing down or stuck in a rut. Spend them accomplishing more than you ever dreamed. Seniors, the golden years are what you make of them. Please watch my video on that topic by following the link listed. Did you know? Selfies now cause more deaths than shark attacks. It is estimated there are 28 selfie-related deaths per year, with the leading cause being heights. Fish eggs can stick to the feathers and legs of aquatic birds, which is why previously fish-free ponds and lakes can become stocked with fish. Just thought you might want to know. If you cannot find peace within yourself, you will never find it anywhere else. Thanks to Marvin Gaye. The really frightening thing about middle age is the knowledge that you'll grow out of it. Thanks to Doris Day. Speaking of age categories, old age should really be called the final curtain. Thanks to yours truly. And that's a wrap of this week's Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching and listening.
So, Bob, that was very interesting. Do we ever grow out of being a senior? What's the next phase?
As I said, the final curtain.
All right, interesting. All right. Thanks, Bob. All right, so let's say I want to save you some money today. I want to save everybody some money. I just saved $1,800 on my cable bill, and let me tell you how I did it. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior, where we teach seniors how to understand technology and save money on their cable bill. At Tech for Senior, everyone is a volunteer. We work very hard at producing our videos, and I notice a lot of you who watch many of our videos don't subscribe to the channel. I'd sure appreciate it if you would subscribe and maybe even give us that like. It really helps the channel move ahead and allows us to continue making great videos for you. Thanks again. Now, this video is going to be all about saving money, so you'll want to watch it. I'm going to talk about how you can save money on your cable bill or your internet services package in Canada and the United States. So there's something for both countries. Now, these are very challenging economic times for seniors. Seniors often have a limited budget, and if you've been to the grocery store lately, there's nothing limited about the price of groceries going up. So it is so important when we are looking at how to save money, we look at our cable internet services. There are big changes that you can make that will offer some great savings, and you just need to know where to look and how to go about this. That's what I'm going to talk about today in this video. Now, seniors have two disadvantages. The first is often they don't understand the technology. The second is they're very trusting. They just think because they've been with a company for a very long time that the company will do best for them. Both those situations lead to a lot of money being spent. I personally know a friend of mine lives in Ontario. They pay over $300 a month for their cable internet services. They're not even there for 6 months of the year. It's crazy. They could do so much better, but they just don't know where to turn or how to go about it. So let me again emphasize this video. If you want to save money, watch this video. I'm going to explain how to do it. So I'm going to go over the different internet service providers in Canada and the United States. The first one I know everybody's anxious to talk about, of course, is satellite with Starlink and Amazon's new project, Kuiper, that's coming online later this year. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this simply because, well, I think it's a great service, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this. It is a very good service. We don't know how Amazon's going to position this later on as their service comes online, particularly how they'll integrate it with people with Prime accounts. But needless to say, these services are really designed for rural use, people that don't live in large urban centers and don't have the advantages of the many different services available. So you'll find competitively that there are lots of cheaper services in urban areas than satellite internet. But if you're in a rural area and you're having a hard time connecting, go for it. It's fine, but it is going to be more expensive and probably slower speed than you'll be able to get in, as I said, an urban area. So the next service I want to talk about is DSL, or Digital Subscriber Line. It's an older service. It's much slower and can be costly. It should be mostly avoided unless your internet needs are very minimal. There's two situations you want to be careful of, and the first is purchasing a condo in a building that has its own DSL system purchased and in that building. You may be getting yourself into a trap if your life revolves around internet like mine does. I was surprised to learn that DSL actually is still out there and is used by some internet service providers to provide service internet to your home. Now, this is problematic, and I would really want you to have a serious look at this and look at the competition, because I suspect you're paying a lot of money for a very poor and old service. So DSL requires a lot of thought, and don't get caught up in the, oh, well, I'm just going to keep it because I've always had it, because you're going to be paying a lot of money for something that's really not very good. The next service is, of course, cable. This is a big one. Most people are cutting the cord, and will Comcast have any customers at the end of the year, or will the last person turn out the lights and that will be it? So let me just talk about what cable is in 2024. Now, you've all heard about this cutting the cord and the many, many people that are leaving cable services and cutting the cord. Now, when we look at cable, you think of a coaxial cable that you'll see in the diagram here. Now, on the other side, you see a fiber optic cable. Now, the coaxial cable has a current running through it. The fiber cable has a light running through it. Quite different technology. And you would all be correct when you say, absolutely, the fiber cable is much faster. So let's look at how cable services are provided. Well, cable services on the pole and the transmission lines are all fiber optic. They move the data by fiber optic, the same as fiber companies, to the telephone pole outside your house. The connection then is made from a coaxial cable that goes from the telephone pole to your house and inside, and it's hooked up to a cable modem. and it's run by a software called DOCSIS. That's how the information is transmitted from the fiber line through the coaxial cable to your house, to the cable modem, and into your computer. All right, let's look at how a company offering fiber works. Well, again, there is fiber to the telephone pole outside your house, but then there's a fiber optic line that moves into the house and is connected to a fiber optic modem. Then this is connected to your computer. We'll be going over the differences between these two in a later video, but I just wanted you to know that that is how the system works. So when we talk about the difference in internet speeds between cable and fiber, it's that coaxial part that goes from the pole to your house that's different. Now, many cable companies, including the existing cable companies such as Cox and Comcast, will offer you fiber to your house. And this is where they will cable a different line from the telephone pole to your house, and that would be a fiber line rather than a cable line. Now, this technology has started up again. In fact, Google Fiber is starting to change and add cities to its map and will be adding fiber connections into different cities in 2024. But this is costly and often involves digging trenches, recabling, going through roads, under people's driveway. There's a lot of physical things that have to be done. The thing that's important to know is that the wireless technology has the capability of exceeding the speed of fiber. Yes. So I'm going to be talking about this in a minute, but 5G technology doesn't need any cabling. It's so simple to do. It's all done wirelessly. So let's talk about 5G technology and where we're going with this. So where you're going to be able to save the most amount of money is looking in the area of 5G technology. Let me explain how this works, but first we have to look a bit at the history. So what is 5G? What is 5G technology? Well, you all know that, of course, we're talking about wireless technology, cell phone technology. You all connect your cell phones, you know, wirelessly to 2G, 3G, 4G, these G things, right? And what has happened in the last 7 years is there's been a new standard that is being developed, and that's called 5G. And I've done a number of videos about the technology behind that. I'm not going to go into that today, but you all understand it's faster than the old system. As you all know, about 5 years ago, all the major networks started to implement 5G technology. This was exciting, and some early adopters got right off the mark really quick. The problem came along with an organization called Five Eyes. You know, eyes like you see, Five Eyes. What are Five Eyes? Well, Five Eyes comprise 5 different countries: Great Britain, Canada, the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. And what this means is these countries share intelligence gathering information amongst themselves. We're very concerned about the company called Huawei. Now, Huawei is one of the largest telecommunication companies in the world that manufacture the technology and hardware. They were the industry leaders in 5G technology. Well, what happened is that there was concerns amongst these Five Eyes countries that this was not a good thing to have their security information going through a company that was owned by China. So what happened was they banned Huawei from providing hardware or software in these 5G in these Five Eyes countries. Now, this created a huge problem because some of those Huawei networks existed in Canada, the United States, and had to be removed at great expense. So what are the challenges now faced by the companies putting in 5G networks in Canada and the United States? Well, the first is that the hardware and software hasn't been invented, developed, discovered, whatever you want to call it. There just isn't the knowledge there that Huawei has. That was the first problem. There is no competition. Huawei was the best. So that put it at a disadvantage. And the second issue is cost. We're talking about enormous costs, billions and billions and billions of dollars that will be spent over the next 10 years converting all our networks into a 5G network. Lots of money involved here. So where is all the money going to come from? Well, the money's going to come from you. Yes. This transition needs to happen quickly because the countries that have the most developed 5G technology in the world today, of course, are China, which is now moving into their 6G technology, and Southeast Asia and India. These are the powerhouses around the world that has the most well-developed 5G and including into 6G networks. That also coincides to, of course, manufacturing. And you need a very advanced 5G network to compete globally in the manufacturing sector. And as can the United States, over the next few years, want to focus more on developing their manufacturing center, particularly with software chips, then this becomes an extremely important service. And the countries really want to make sure that this gets done quickly. So these networks are being built at a rapid pace, but of course, they need funding and money. And that's, of course, where you come in. But of course, this can work in your advantage. So in the United States, we have three major networks. Of course, we have AT&T, we have Verizon, and we have T-Mobile. All three of these companies are working hard to get their national 5G network completed. So what they need is cash, and they're looking to you to help sign up for their services. And what are they offering? Well, as you know, if you have a cell phone now, you're probably noticing that things are a lot faster. The networks are running really pretty darn quick. So they're able to offer you now a combination of home internet service, a landline, maybe a cellular line, and television service. So all these can be packaged in and offered to you as a bundle. And this is where the competition is really good. So now they know as you're leaving cable, and cable will be gone if it's not this year, next year, as you're leaving cable, they want to sign you up. They want to sign you up really quickly. And the competition in some areas is fierce. So you can get some incredibly good deals. In my case, I had the option of going from a cable service to a fiber service, and I saved $150 a month just with a little bit of work and looking at the options. So if you're going to, so where you can save the biggest amount of money is if you're moving from cable, you should be looking at wireless services and look at those big three for package deals. That is where the big saving is going to occur. Now, you may not say, in my area, it doesn't occur. Maybe you say, oh no, I asked AT&T and it works out about the same as cable. And that may be very true, but the competition is, if you're in a large urban area and all three have competing networks, the competition is amazing on what you're going to get. So remember that's where you want to look. If you're on cable now and you're moving off cable, look for the wireless companies. Go to Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Look for their mobile internet service, and they will bundle it with all those other services, and you may get an extremely good deal. Now, the contract may be for 2 years, but then at the end of 2 years, look at other options that you have. So about a year ago, Rogers Communication, a wireless company, purchased Shaw Cable, a cable company which provided cable for all of Western Canada, west of Winnipeg, all the way to, of course, Vancouver Island, where I live. I had been a cable customer for over 40 years, but with a little bit of work and effort and looking at the competition, I was able to save $1,800 in 1 year on my internet cable phone package. In the image behind me, you'll see two connections to my house. You'll see the old cable connection and the new fiber optic connection. My plan is to capture the special they have for a full 2 years and then maybe go back and look at cable and play the two off one against the other. I have both connections now wired to my house, and it's very easy to simply transfer from one to the other. So if you are on Shaw Cable, I would encourage you to look at TELUS, the fiber company, as a good option, and you probably are going to find some significant cost savings. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Rogers takeover of a cable company. I suspect in the long term, they'll probably want to convert people over from Shaw's old cable system to their 5G wireless system. This will probably take a number of years, but let's see if I'm right on that one. So the reason for making this video is to say, look at the competition. Go out, explore your options for your communications services. This is a rapidly changing field, and there's opportunity to save a lot of money. And heck, as seniors, we need help, right? So do that. Look at the competition. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon. Have a great day.
From chaos to clarity by optimizing your Windows file system, I'm Hewie Poplock. Keeping your files neat and tidy with these tips for naming and organizing them on Windows. Do you struggle to quickly find a specific file on Windows? One of the reasons could be that you're not naming your files correctly. It's essential to keep in mind specific rules before you begin naming files on Windows. To help you stay organized and prevent you from getting unpleasant surprises, I'm providing a list of important tricks you should know to name files on the operating system. Do not use any punctuation at the start of a file name. You are allowed to use a period and other supported characters like parentheses, dash, commas, and underscore at the beginning of a file name. However, just because they are supported does not mean you should use them. You should always start your file name with the most important identifiers of the file, such as a date. Remember, when you sort your files by file name, Windows will arrange them in alphabetical/numerical order, so think about how you can take advantage of that when naming files. 2. Do not use specific punctuation marks anywhere in the file name. While you can name a file the way you want, there are some limitations to what characters you can use. Windows operating system does not allow certain characters in file names, which include the less than sign, greater than, the colon, the double quote, the forward slash, the backslash, the vertical bar or pipe, the question mark, or the asterisk. You can use spaces anywhere in the file name, but be mindful that the fact that some software does not recognize files with spaces. Instead of spaces, you can use underscores, dashes, and camel case. An example of camel case are file name together instead of the space between the word file and name. Keep your file name short and snappy. Windows 10 and 11 support up to 260 characters in a file name, meaning you can stuff many details into a file name. However, you should not aim to reach that 260 character limit. Ideally, a file name should not be longer than 35 characters. With all that said, sometimes it might be worth it to keep the file name lengthy. And if you think you benefit more from a long file name than a shorter one, you should not hesitate, but make sure it's unique and consistently structured. Don't use specific reserved words in file names. While naming files in Windows 11 and 10, you should keep in mind that you cannot use certain reserved words in file names. Here are the reserved words: on, PRN, AUX, NUL or null, COM0 through COM9, LPT0 through LPT9. It's also worth noting that the above reserved names, followed by extensions, are also not allowed to be used as file names. For instance, you cannot use null.txt or nul.txt as your file name. File names on Windows are case insensitive. Windows 11 and 10 do not require a correct input of uppercase and lowercase in file names, which means test with a capital T and test with a lowercase t are the same. When you use the same name for a file in the exact location, your PC will notify you that there is already a file with the same name. Your PC will also ask you if you want to rename the file to test followed by a number in the parentheses. It's important to note that you can use the same name in files without numbers in the parentheses as long as they are not in the same location. So if you want to use the same name in files, you have to keep them in separate locations. Learn how to rename multiple files at once. If you think you were committing all sorts of mistakes while naming files on Windows and now want to fix your mistakes, you can easily batch file names using File Explorer, Command Prompt, or PowerShell. You can also batch rename the file extensions if you think you made mistakes there. You may want to use a third-party batch rename application. You can use emojis in file names to spice things up. One of the coolest ways you can name files on Windows is by choosing emojis instead of words. You can also mix words and emoticons if that works best for you. There is no limitation on using emojis anywhere in the file name. While emojis may not be highly beneficial, they can make file names more expressive if used properly. Include dates in file names to make them more descriptive. You can use dates in file names on Windows. Some of the most common ways to write dates are in the listed formats. However, you cannot use the format with slashes because the / character is not supported in a file name. You can choose any format that suits you the best from the supported ones. But to ensure that you do not struggle with finding the exact file name, you should use the most significant date and time component first. If the year is your most important component, you should use that first, and also be consistent when you're using dates. Ensure your file names include enough context. Different people will likely have different opinions about what makes a suitable file name. But broadly speaking, a good file name is short but descriptive enough to help you quickly understand what's in it. If you have a PC for everyone in your family to use, you also need to name them in such a way that anyone else in your family can understand its content and context. In other words, if you're keeping the files for everyone to see, you should choose something that tells about the content it has. Search for the exact file using search syntax commands. To be able to find the exact file on Windows quickly is not as simple as you think. If you type something in the File Explorer search box, it will show a laundry list of files containing what you just typed. Thus, it makes things difficult for you to find the exact file in File Explorer. For example, if you're looking for a file called Windows.11 and want your PC to show you the exact file instead of a list of files with Windows and 11 in them, you can type name:\Windows.11 in the File Explorer search box. This will only show you the exact file you're looking for. Other than the name search syntax, some popular ones include kind, size, and date. If you type size:54KB in the File Explorer search bar, it will show you a list of files that are precisely 54 kilobytes in size. Everything by Void Tools is a powerful file search utility for Windows that allows users to quickly locate files and folders by name. It is known for its lightning-fast indexing and search capabilities, able to index over 1 million files in just 1 minute. Everything provides a clean and simple user interface and supports advanced search features like Boolean operators, wildcards, and regular expressions. It can search not only file names, but also file attributes, metadata, and even file contents, though the content search is slower. Everything is a free, lightweight, and portable application that can be installed or run as a service to avoid UAC prompts. Overall, everything is widely praised as one of the best file search tools available for Windows, offering an unparalleled speed and functionality. Get better file names on Windows with these tips. People often ignore the importance of getting file names right on their PCs. But with the tips that I just gave you, you can be a pro at naming files. It will take some time to get used to everything we just shared. And it's certainly worth remembering them because they can make you more productive and certainly help you create a more organized environment in File Explorer or any other third-party file management tool you may be using. From chaos to clarity, optimizing your Windows file system, I'm Hewie Poplock.
All right. Thanks, Huey. I learned something. That's great. We'll hold off on your questions. We'll see those. We'll deal with those at the end.
Listen up, folks. Nowadays, the biggest threat isn't someone snatching your purse or hot-wiring your car. Nope, it's those pesky online scammers trying to sweet-talk you out of your hard-earned cash, or worse, your dignity. And they're not just using fancy tech tricks. These crooks are masters of manipulation, tugging at your heartstrings like a virtuoso violinist. But don't worry, we've got your back. Let's take a deep dive into the world of emotional scamming and learn how to spot these con artists before they can work their magic. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. The scam that'll make you swoon or cringe. Romance scams are love, the ultimate emotional vulnerability. These scammers will wine and dine you, virtually of course, until you're head over heels. Next thing you know, they're asking for money to cover their ailing grandmother's medical bills or some other sob story. Spoiler alert, there is no grandmother. Sextortion emails. Talk about a mood killer. These creepy emails claim the scammer has compromising videos of you and demands payment to keep them private. Unless you've been starring in your own homemade films and haven't kept your privates private, it's all bluff and bluster. Don't take the bait. Egg butchering. No, this isn't a cooking class gone wrong. It's a long con where scammers fatten you up with affection before going in for the slaughter, usually by convincing you to invest in some too-good-to-be-true cryptocurrency scheme. Payment scams. You get an email claiming there's an issue with your payment app account. But when you click that handy link, bam! You've just handed your login credentials to a scammer on a silver platter. Missing person scams. These twisted plots start with a fake missing person plea, which people share out of kindness. Then the scammers edit the post to promote an investment scam, piggybacking on all those well-meaning shares. Fake app alerts. You download what looks like a legit app, but surprise, it's actually a Trojan horse designed to swipe your personal info. These scammers are counting on you to trust big app stores a little too much. Here are some tips on how to avoid getting played. Now that you know what you're up against, it's time to arm yourself with some scam dodging skills. Number 1, don't fall for urgency. Scammers want to rush you into making rash decisions. Take a deep breath and think it through. Number 2, if something seems fishy, ask a friend or family member for a second opinion. 2 heads are better than 1, especially when one of them might be getting scammed. Number 3, check those links and email addresses with a fine-toothed comb. One tiny typo could be a big red flag. Number 4, keep your tech up to date with the latest security patches. It's like putting a bouncer at the door of your digital life. Number 5, most importantly, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't let a silver-tongued scammer charm you out of your senses. So there you have it, folks. With a little knowledge and a healthy dose of skepticism, you can outsmart even the wiliest of emotional scammers. Credit to Avast's original blog post, which prompted this rendition. You'll find their article at the link listed. Stay safe, stay secure, stay vigilant, and keep your wits about you. Investing in a good spam filter while you're at it is also a good idea. Here's to happy and safe scrolling. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching and listening.
All right, thanks. Ray, just before you get started, I'm going to say goodbye to our friends over on YouTube. If you want to pop over and join our Zoom meeting, we still have room and you can participate in the Q&A. Otherwise, we'll see you again in another week. Don't forget our Thursday show, and don't forget 1/2 we have our premiere video coming on. All right, let me just stop the video and take it away, Ray.
Frankie Valli today. And he's going to prove that age is only a number. So the musical story of Frankie Valli goes all the way back to 1953 with his first solo commercial release, My Mother's Eyes. A few years later, he fronted the Four Lovers, a vocal group I'm guessing many of you have never heard of, yet I have a CD in my collection by them with 31 tracks. Now, the new group then that he formed was known as the Four Seasons, named, believe it or not, after a local bowling alley that originated in Newark, New Jersey in 1960. Thus, the name Jersey Boys for the movie about them is appropriate. In addition to Valli, the original lineup included Bob Gaudio, Tom DeVito, and Nick Massey. In the early part of their career, they were simply known as the Four Seasons. Notwithstanding the British invasion, the Four Seasons in the 1960s had much success with such hits as Dawn, Sherry, Big Girls Don't Cry, Walk Like a Man, and Ragdoll. In the 1970s, they became a quintet and were known as Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. In 1990, they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's estimated they have sold 100 million records worldwide, which would make them one of the best-selling musical groups of all time. So about 20 years ago, I was visiting my youngest daughter in South Williamsport, Pennsylvania, yes, the home of the Little League World Series, when she told me she had a surprise for me. Tickets to an afternoon concert to see Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. The venue was relatively small, with the added benefit that the seats were fairly close to the stage. I was impressed at the time with how Valli's incredible falsetto voice had hardly changed over the years. Frankie Valli was born Francesco Castelluccio on May 3, 1934. So in less than a month's time, he will be celebrating his 90th birthday. So the first part of today's video is from 1992 at a concert in Atlantic City, New Jersey, when Valli was 58 years old, an age when most of us would be planning our retirement. The second part is only from about 2 weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago at Radio City Music Hall, where some might say Frankie Valli proves age is only a number. Going to be 90 years old.
Wow.
I thought you had to be dead to be on one of your choices in your outro.
No, that helps me make a choice, but I like to give credit where credit deserved. Now, some people, I have a good friend who actually saw not that concert, but a few weeks earlier in another location, and said that most of the songs he was lip syncing. But you know what? I don't care. Just seeing a legend like that live would be worth it.
Sure.
And if he has to lip sync to hit those high notes, so be it.
There you go. Amazing. Thank you so much, Ray. That was great. That was a really good one. Thanks so much. All right. So we're going to get into the question and answer. But before we do that, if you have to skedaddle and get out of here, don't forget we have our Thursday show this Thursday. It's going to be on Thursday. Wow. And so that'll be, of course, we're going to be talking about all the news of the week and and I haven't figured out what our main topic's going to be on, but that'll be coming out in the newsletter tomorrow, of course. Then don't forget about our premiere video that will be out in about half an hour. And we'll be talking about, Bob is going to tell you all about how to put videos into Google Slides. And I'm going to talk about, fast pairing with Bluetooth. And this is, of course, is a bigger issue now. There's a lot of changes that come out in Android allowing fast pairing. And Mike's going to talk about EV level 3 charging. So there we have it. I have a question for Hewie.
Okay.
Emoji. So if you put an emoji in the file name, can you then in the search put the emoji in the search and search for the emoji?
You know, I am not sure. I have not done it. I was
I haven't
reading
either.
about it.
Maybe that's a good
something
idea.
that I wanted to test and I didn't get to, because I'm wondering also, what about other where you use a file and then move it over to, say, a Mac? How do they recognize it? I have no clue. When I was doing the research for that, it came up and said that, and I had never used an emoji in a file name.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. All right, there you go. Bob, what's up?
I just want to let Ray know the only way I can reach those high notes is also by lip syncing.
All right. Carl, Any thoughts on life? What's going on with you?
Well, I was touched by the Frankie Valli. I saw him not that, or I saw the group, in Las Vegas. They perform there quite often. It's very touching because that's my era. I will be 85 April 20th. And the thought that I'm this old is pretty touching to me. And
There you go.
he looked a little bit like I'm trying to think. Crosby before he died, didn't he? Did his facial expression change, or is it just because he lost weight? He looked like some other singer, and I'm thinking Crosby.
Okay.
At that age, I don't
All right.
know.
Well, it was
That's
nice. He went and shook the audience's hands before he left. I thought he was very gracious and still quite a performer.
By the way, speaking of the emoji, is it a case that maybe they don't enter into the search? They're just there for, I don't know, looks?
No, I
That's
don't
what
think
I'm
so.
thinking too. No, I think you may be right.
Oh, really? Well, I don't know. Interesting. We'll have to look that one up. Ray, do you know the answer to that? Do you use emojis in your file name?
No, instead I have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
On your presentation, talking about the cell companies that can provide internet service, I wanted to make the point that a friend of mine about a year ago got T-Mobile, and he loved it. He thought it was great, $50 a month, etc. And he convinced his neighbor to get it. Neighbor who lives right next door. The neighbor tried and was not able to get it because at the time, and I think it may still be true, you have to have line of sight to the cell tower for that to work. So I think that's an important consideration that people have to take in mind.
It is, but as I was mentioning, they're building towers at a phenomenal rate to expand their networks. So what that may be true this month, but it may not be true next month, right? So it is important that you keep looking, even if it doesn't work out at that particular time. Don't give up on it. Check in 3 months because maybe it's there. I remember when I gave a talk about 6 years ago in Mesa, and Verizon had just started their 5G network in downtown Phoenix. They offered two cell phone lines, home internet unlimited, and this was all 5G, and TV, and it was all packaged in a 5-year contract for $50 a month. It was crazy. It was an absolute, it was just like, it was really crazy. So you will see now, not all, it depends if there's not a lot of competition and, they're the only act in town. They don't have really a lot. There's not a real impetus to offer. So it depends on your area. You can get some just smoking deals, right?
Exactly. I was about to say that large urban areas were going to be given the opportunity first because they have lots of subscribers. Areas like where Bob and I live, not so much.
Well, the other thing is they're not going to put the towers in out in your area. I mean, they want to put towers in where there's high traffic. So you'll find them in mostly very urban areas, like,
That's what I just said.
and you can tell that, Ray, when you go down to Phoenix and you're down there and you look at 5G and you look at your speeds running, you'll see, holy mackerel, it's like crazy fast, right? And that's because you've linked onto their 5G, and that's how come it's so fast, right?
I mean, the reason I recently changed from Verizon to T-Mobile was because T-Mobile, where I live, does offer 5G, where Verizon doesn't, and had no plans for the immediate future.
Yeah.
And I have a cell tower from Verizon in line of sight, and Verizon doesn't acknowledge the tower exists. It's been there for a year.
Maybe they forgot about it, but each tower is about $1 million to build. So you might want to remind them, Bob, and say, "Hey, do you guys remember?"
They may have forgot it's there.
Yeah, maybe they forgot. Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, I was impressed with your presentation overall. I really like the bigger view because I tend to get too microscopic in it. But one thing you might consider is that, for example, in my own case, I have 100 megabit service with AT&T. It's $40 a month. And if I connect my desktop or my laptop directly to the Wi-Fi internet, gateway is the word I was trying to get, I will get 105 megabit. But if I use Wi-Fi, which I tend to do more often, I'm only getting 50. So if anybody has a gigabit or terabit or whatever they have, if they're using over Wi-Fi, they're not going to get that speed.
That's correct.
So Carl, let me just answer that. They just hooked my fiber up last week, and I'm running Wi-Fi 6 in my in my house now. And on my PC, on my Wi-Fi, I'm getting 700 megabits down and 780 megabits up on Wi-Fi.
Well, that's 6, but well, how do you get 6 unless you have an adapter?
Well, it comes with the equipment, so the new routers will have
No,
Wi-Fi.
I mean your PC. If you have a Wi-Fi PC laptop like I do, you're not going to get 6 on your PC.
Depends on the card, your wireless card that you have in it. And this is not a laptop. This is an actual Dell PC, and there's a wireless card in there. And it's,
well, yeah, good point, because I don't know anybody who has a 6 Wi-Fi yet.
Yeah, so it's fast. It's fast. So
oh
you
yeah,
get fast wireless. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
good.
I picked up a Wi-Fi 6 card with Bluetooth 5.2 for $20.
Right.
Put that in my laptop.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I've been
Lloyd.
around for a while now.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lloyd.
Where do you
Okay,
connect it in your laptop? Through USB, or do you do what?
No, you take the computer apart and you look at it. You find out where your Wi-Fi card is in the laptop, and you replace it with a 6E.
Or bring it into your repair shop and have them do it for you if you can't do it by yourself.
That would be a challenge.
Easy enough to do. It's only held in there by one screw. You undo that, take the thing out, put another card in, screw back in again.
Right. But the big thing that Carl was mentioning, and I wanted to point out, was that Wi-Fi now, in 2024 is extremely fast, right? And this all adds to the wireless connection that, of course, you're going to have when you bring the wireless, the other T-Mobile or whatever service you want into your house. It's going to run fast. Go ahead, Chris.
No, Lloyd was next.
Lloyd was
Lloyd?
next.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Right.
I was going to talk about a couple of things, and Ron, I'm not going to mention the names of the companies, but Ron would probably know immediately. In my neck of the woods, there are two major companies, highly competitive, very big. And one of them went down for about 2 days. And when I say down, I mean everything. And I always have kept in reserve my landline with the original company that I was with all the time. And I find that was very good. And when the major company went down, they lost everything. We're talking about, if you had them for the landline, you had them for all your internet and TV and everything else. And in my neighborhood, people came out. All the people that had this one brand came out and they had zero communications, whereas I stuck with the landline with the other one, and at least I had communications in case of an emergency. And it was so bad that the one that went down, they lost the 911 for emergencies. They couldn't even have that going through their system. Now, the Canadian government has made an arrangement where if one goes down, the other one has to pick up all their traffic. But just let you know, I still think you need a backup, and trying to do everything with one sometimes could, in an emergency, be a problem.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right. Chris, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, the question that I asked at the beginning of the meeting about the Chromebook and the tabs, I figured it out. It's my Chromebook detaches from the keyboard, and it's when I've detached it and I'm in tablet mode.
Oh, it's tablet mode.
That there are no tabs. And I took a couple of screenshots and sent it to you in an email in case you're interested. Ron, I did.
All right. That's good. Oh, Chris, so what do you guys have for internet? Do you guys have cable or fiber, or what do you?
We have fiber.
You have fiber.
And then it goes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, our fiber comes in, and then it goes to a Google router for Wi-Fi in the house. And I also have Ethernet coming to the office.
Yeah. Yeah,
TV is still cable, right?
It comes in through fiber data now.
Okay.
There is no cable. It's all fiber cable. There's no copper clad cable anymore.
Because our shows are big, eh? Like they're 1 gig, like they're really large shows when I render them, and I have to put them up on YouTube. Now with my 1 gig up, I put it, last Monday, I uploaded the show and it was so fast that I hadn't even, like, I just went to look and see if it was finished uploading and it was already done. Like as fast as my mouse went from one side of the keyboard to the other. And I thought you
Wow.
guys do a lot of video work too. So you probably enjoy
Wow.
the high
Oh
speed
yeah,
fiber
I
does.
keep asking her to look into it, but she procrastinates and getting
Look into
better
what?
better speeds for our
Yeah.
Oh,
It's fast.
well,
upload, especially. Well, we're fine. We're getting 50 up,
Really?
and
Oh,
usually,
really? Okay.
yeah, we're getting, and then somewhere between. If I'm on the Ethernet, I'm getting 900 down,
Right.
but we can multicast to multiple, and usually it's just Facebook and YouTube at one time, so I only need 11 up.
Okay. Murray, go ahead.
Yeah, I know you called me in before, but before I could say read a word, I was interrupted by somebody else.
Oh,
But
sorry.
anyway, that's okay. I just wanted to mention that I haven't phoned them yet, but I did look at the TELUS website and click on the thing to put in my address to see if I could get fiber. And hey, I'm right down practically downtown Victoria, but they say no, I can't. So I guess that's not an option for me.
You might
So-
want to call them just to confirm that.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm going to do that, but I was kind of surprised to see that. Well, we are in an old building and down in near Beacon Hill Park, but
Right. It
anyway.
may not have, and they may not have been cabled for fiber, but you know, have a look at that. And the other thing is that they got a whole bunch of specials on, like they really want to get these Shaw customers that are leaving. So they've got some just smashing specials on that aren't advertised on the web. So just
Yeah, well, I'm going to call them, but then of course I'll also call Rogers and see what they have to see as so far as matching is concerned. One thing I do not want is ADSL.
no.
I mean, I've always, I mean, I've helped people with ADSL and I've always absolutely hated it. And I hated having to deal with them.
Well, unless it's installed in your building now, and that's where you're using it's
No.
gone. Like,
They
it's gone.
they have a Shaw cable in the building.
Yeah, so they wouldn't offer that. That's the only way you're going to get ADSL is if it was put in the building 30 years ago and it's still there, right?
Well, I mean, TELUS may have put it in here for people who were tied into TELUS before they moved here.
Maybe possibility. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah,
I mean, like like Shaw cable for the TV is free part of the rent. They probably charge 3 times what they pay, but it's hidden. And so I get the cable television for free, and I get lots and lots of channels and lots of recording time. Not as good as satellite, but at least something. But I had to pay for my own connection. They had to come in and drill holes and all that kind of stuff to put in my internet.
the thing I wanted to just make that video so that I want everyone to go out and just shake it up a bit and look, because don't be under the guys that, oh, I've been with the company for a long time, I don't want to change. That's a bad decision. And you can save, like, the money you're going to save are big. This isn't a little bit of money. This is a lot of money you can save on these services just by looking at the competition. So do it, do it.
That's what I'll do.
Call.
I'll make that call.
Make that call. Gerald, go ahead. Your last.
There's another consideration people should make. I had my girlfriend running fiber from Ziply for a while, and it was good and cheap and fast service, but she couldn't deal with talking to people somewhere in India for service. So she went down to talk to people at Comcast, and her neighborhood is very competitive. So she got almost as fast service for her. She only needs about 100 gig and a better price. So it isn't just how fast, it's also, are you able to communicate with the company?
Right. Yep. Yes, indeed. So true. Hewie, what is your final, you get the final word.
Just a note from Catherine, or Kathleen, I'm sorry, in the chat. She said in New York City, Verizon no longer permits anyone to have hardwired landline. Either one changes to FiOS or has no phone. And that's some of the things we're going to be talking about
Yeah,
on the 22nd.
that's right.
Terrific. They
They,
kept
they,
cutting
see,
off.
everyone stay
People,
tuned.
people didn't get notices about their phones, and especially the elderly, who's many of us still have landlines or try to, and they just woke up one day and no phone. They cut
No
off.
problem. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Hewie. I will not miss, I hope, your
Don't
next.
And Kathleen, we record these, so if you can't make it, not next week, but the week after on the 22nd, if you can't make it, it's online, so you can watch it for it. Okay.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay then. All right. Listen, everyone, it's been a great meeting. Thanks everyone for coming. We do appreciate it. Thanks you so much. Don't forget our Thursday show. Don't forget the video coming up in 10 minutes. And don't forget, we'll be back same time, same place next week. All right. Bye now.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.